know what else I think you should think about? I think you should also think about just doing in the beginning, which would be kind of easy, being a business support service for truck driving companies. I think you should consider that. Here's why. The hardest part about it would be for you to just know where to find the drivers. And I know that. I could tell you. But the business side, they just don't know the business side. And you could bring them, you could do two things. You could do the business side for them, like their paperwork, which, let me tell you something. I've considered it as one of my companies. I decided not to do it because I just really don't want to do it, but I know how to do it, and I know what I need. But you know how we are as entrepreneurs. We have so many visions. And you have to choose which ones you're going to. But it's in my book. It's in my vision book. I really thought about it because I have a healthcare company, and my healthcare company did physical exams or taught doctors how to do the physical exams. You know, those certifications that they have to have. My company has doctors that trains other doctors how to get certified for physical exams. And then doctors do the physical exams for the drivers. Like your brother-in-law, he had to get a medical examination. Yes. And he could only get that by a certified examiner. That's what my company did.
I see.
So that's why I know so much about them and so much about trucking, is because it's federal. And that's how I learned. So of course I started digging, and I had to teach my doctors how to help the other doctors understand how they need to look at these drivers. We have to know their jobs. We have to know what they do. They're getting up and down in these trucks. You know, so a lot of times they're unloading their own loads that they carried across country. So they have to be in good physical shape. So my point to you is that there's a big need. And with your brother-in-law understanding a lot of things, I know one company that probably does $10 million a year. They've been around doing this, helping with paperwork. They don't help them get jobs, but they help with paperwork. And I think you could do the business side and you could help them get jobs. You might want to start in one area because that could be immediate for you. Help you build up things before you decide what truck. So you have a couple of things to think about. You could decide, okay, we want to focus on government contracting first, take that route, or you could think a little bit more about the business side. You know, you guys have to do a lot of paperwork. They don't know how to do it, and they're willing to pay it. It's very lucrative. They also need consistent paperwork. Consistent. There are things that the federal government asks them for consistently. They have to be drug tested. They have to have the consortium, which my company taught doctors how to set up their own consortium. There's so many moving pieces. And you could sit with your brother-in-law and find out what's the most, like he probably just did what the investor said. But the investor, as the owner, had to know the things that your brother-in-law had to do to stay on that road. Otherwise, the investor would be responsible to the federal government.
Okay.
So
what you're, Michelle, real quick. So what you're suggesting in terms of the business support services, this is for trucking companies that already have contracts with the government? Okay.
Or contracts, or just that they have their trucks on the road, period. Whether they do government contracts or whether they do that, because that's a separate thing. That is a separate thing. You could have those too. They could have all kinds of contracts. They could be like your brother-in-law. But there are things that I know how to get you access to people that own trucks and have drivers, and they need services that they don't want to do. They don't know how to do them.
I see.
So they go to these other larger companies, $10-20 million companies, that charge them a fortune to do some of those things, to get their MC paperwork, to get their drug testing set up, to, you know what I mean? And
their quarterly filings.
All of that stuff. You know, and I'm very astute about all of the things that they have to do. So if you had questions about how to get started, I could tell you, okay, this is what you need to do.
Right.
It can be a very daunting process for them.
Right.
They
Right.
just but they love, maybe they love being on the road, but they don't like all of this other stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Well,
So
that is a good piece of advice, and I will definitely keep it in mind.
and then, you know, you can just, I still want you to do the research though for the government.
Mhm.
Okay, so two things in summary. I want you to, I'm going to send you some more codes. You do the research with the federal government, because that could also be a quick hit the ground running for you.